start my recording. Okay, great. I am Genna Rosenberg, and I am so thrilled to be here at the BRIC Summit and really appreciate so many of you joining on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I heard yesterday was fantastic, and hopefully you all learned lots of really exciting, fun things. And today I'm honored to spend some time this morning and introduce you to careers in the toy industry. So I've been working in the toy industry for about 30 years. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Sometimes it looks like I'm looking the other way, um, but I'm not. And hopefully you can all see me, and just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay. So, see, I lose you guys sometimes when I'm sharing my screen, but oh well. Okay, there we go. All right, great. So this is a talk that I call Design Your Career in the Toy Industry. And as you'll learn as we go along, I'm also very passionate about social impact, as I know so many of you are as well, and how you can use your gifts and your talent and your jobs to change the whole entire world through your work in play. Should this be something that you choose to do? So, we're going to talk about how things that are going on in the world, what are called trends, impact potential jobs in the toy industry, and also how we can really create the change that we want to see in the world if we are intentional about it. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through a little bit about my career journey over the last 30 years. We're going to talk about the toy industry in general, and then we're going to talk about how each of you might be able to find your dream job working in the toy industry. So, have you ever thought about working in the toy industry before you saw this talk was available to you? What we're in the what I really am hoping to challenge you today to do is to not just think about how you can get a job, but if you really think about what do you love, what things are you really interested in, and what are you good at? You can probably find a job that combines those two things and work in the toy industry. So this kind of contextualizes where we're going to go today. But this is a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I've been working for almost 30 years in the toy industry. And like so many other people who work in this industry, I fell into it by accident. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But that's part of what really inspired me to want to work with young people and show them pathways and give them information about working in the toy industry. So I do a lot of different things, and you can too. So that's one of the things I want to talk to you all about as well, which is you can have lots of different skills, and then you can use them to find unique ways to make an impact in this really wonderful industry. So I like to think about trends. I like to connect the dots. I'm really interested. I studied communications that I'm going to talk to you more about. And so I've worked for over 30 years or about almost 30 years in public relations, which is getting products in the news. But I also knew that I wanted to do more than just that. So now I invent products, invent brands, and do licensing, which we'll talk more about. And I also work a lot in social impact. So I mentor young people, I volunteer my time, and I'm very mindful and passionate about diversity, inclusion, and equity in many different areas. So, a little bit about my businesses. I have a public relations and marketing agency called GenCom, and we specialize in the toy industry. So, all the different things I do, most of them focus on the toy industry, or more broadly, what's called consumer products, which are products that consumers use. So, they might be toys or they might be other toyetic type products. So, we'll talk more about that. I have a product development and licensing company called GenCom Imagination. And also, as I mentioned, I'm very interested in social impact. And so my social impact division is called Good Works by Gen. I have a lot of fun friends. I am very lucky. I get to work with a lot of really fun entertainment brands, and I think that that might be something that could be of interest to you all working in the toy industry too. If any of you are interested in entertainment properties like television shows or movies, or maybe or cartoons, maybe you like anime or video games, and there are lots of fun brands that are involved in the toy industry and that I have worked with. I also love to sing. I love karaoke, and it's been really fun that one of my new clients at my PR agency has, and also our social impact businesses, the world's largest karaoke company. This is some of my family, my husband, my son, my friends love to karaoke. And I've gotten to do a lot of really amazing things throughout my career. I speak at industry events. I was invited to go to the White House under President Barack Obama's administration as part of the United States of Women. Some of you may know Juneteenth, which is our newest national holiday. And this is Miss Opal Lee, who is the founder of Juneteenth, which is actually the day that slavery really ended, even though it had ended many years before. I was invited to go to NASDAQ to ring the bell, the opening bell and closing bell with an organization that I work with called Women in Toys, Licensing, and Entertainment. And I'm very proud of the reputation that I've built in the toy industry over the last almost 3 decades. So, my 10th grade English teacher said to me, Genna, you should do public relations. And I didn't really know what that was at the time. And public relations is um, getting information into the news. So people who are publicists or do public relations, they write press releases and then they work with the media to get products in the news or information in the news. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, which was my career and it started as my career in the toy industry. But because my 10th grade English teacher said that to me, I went to the University of Maryland. And the University of Maryland at the time was one of 10 accredited public relations programs in the country out of the College of Journalism. And I had such a great experience at University of Maryland that now I'm actually and I'm so passionate about this topic of talking with young people and inspiring them into different to see the possibilities for themselves in different careers that I actually teach a class now on Zoom at University of Maryland that's on this very topic. So I taught it last fall there for the very first time. And they've invited me back to teach this coming fall at University of Maryland. So what I want you to think about is if you have ideas of what you might want to do for your career, it could help guide your choice for going to university, depending on what stage in your job search you're in right now, like it did for me. So I chose Maryland initially because I was really excited about their public relations program. And now I'm actually developing toys, hopefully, for them. These are some of the toy inventions that we work on at Gen Con. So, with our public relations, I was just describing to you that, you were essentially representing companies and brands and we're helping them get in the news. So, these are some of the brands and products and media placements that my company has been able to secure for some of our famous clients. You may recognize some of them. And it really helps get their products and their initiatives more popular among consumers. And so that's the role of public relations, and it ties into social media as well. And the role of the public relations department or person, sometimes it might be in-house at a company or it might be at an outside agency that the company hires, works with all the other different departments. So they might speak with people in product development. In the case of the toy industry, where we're promoting a product, they might work with the product development people to really understand the functions and features of a certain toy. They might work with the company's founders to help tell their stories. They might work with the legal team to make sure that we're calling the products by the right names and using the right trademarks and registered marks. So these are some of the amazing clients that I've had the opportunity to work with since I started my business 12 years ago. And then I'll flip through this quickly, but my product development business, as I mentioned, I'm a strong writer, I'm a strong communicator, but I didn't want to just tell the stories at the end. I really, after working in the field for about 15 years, I thought, you know what? I have ideas to develop products and brands. And so I have a different team of people, and these are some of them, and we're actually developing consumer products. So, sometimes one or another of us might have an idea about a product, and then others of us think about what brands they should go in and how we might license them to other companies. So I call us a think tank. This is my colleague Jeremy Medwed, and he actually had an idea to put memory foam in plush toys and squishy plush toys, and we created that category for the whole entire toy industry in 2017. And we got 4 patents for that. And then we just got a patent on this, which is putting fiber in slime. So we have a lot of fun with some of the products that we are developing at GenCom, and then we license them to other companies. And we also work with third-party inventors, and we help them license their products. So partway through my career, I went from telling the stories for other companies to now telling our own toy stories and also putting deals together for some of these different products. So this is what's called licensing, where one person or company has an idea for a brand or a product, and then they give another company who is able to manufacture it the rights. They sign an agreement to be able to make that product. So licensing is a whole nother area, and a job or many, many different jobs that could be really interesting for you. Some people do what's called business development. They make the deals. They find the companies, they find brands that would be a good fit with different inventions, and they create the relationships and sign licenses. Other times, lawyers might be involved in that, and other people still do product development or packaging or the advertising. Like, here's an advertisement, a TV commercial for this product that is at Target that this woman, Christine Magnol Schwartz, created, called Cozy Wings. Yesterday was her birthday, actually. We also have a social impact division. So I was really fortunate when I've worked in this industry to be in a position to donate products to charities, to help fundraise, to create corporate culture at different toy companies that I've worked at, and to bring people in to do social impact. And now I'm doing a lot of that for lots of different companies. Maybe some of you have heard of products like Bombas socks or Tom shoes, or many other companies who bring in social impact in a way to help others, to raise money, to donate products. And I think that companies, and actually the people who work at the companies, are the ones who really are in a position to create the change that we need in the world. So that might be thinking about packaging innovations and sustainability. We really, we are in global warming, and our we have too much trash. We're using too much single-use plastic. And so as toy companies, whether you own a toy company or whether you're doing product design or operations, there are many, many different things that we can do to make changes that are big and small. When I worked at a toy company in the early 2000s, and I started their division called Jack's Cares. It was a company called Jack's Pacific. We used to give employees giveaways. This is a cup. I don't know if you can see, but this is a GenCom cup. And when I worked at Jack's, we gave people their first ever plastic water bottle. And we called it BYOB, bring your own bottle. And we switched from the whole company having, bottled water everywhere to having big water tanks. So just little things that people can do when I worked in this career in toys. And social entrepreneurship is essentially the concept that I was just telling you, where people can have their products tied to purpose and their profits tied to purpose and help raise money for to make change in the world. And this is also a $310 billion industry. So it's not just nice to do, it's actually really good for business because consumers are motivated by companies who are good corporate citizens. So let's talk about the toy industry. This is a global industry, and kids and adults of all ages play with toys. So you guys may have heard of this concept called adulting, where adults and adult collectors are, spending a lot of money to buy toys. And the global toy industry is really ginormous, and it is constantly expected to keep growing. It's going to be as much as 132 billion globally by 2028. So we're going to talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes, but there are different categories within the toy industry. So you might, have no interest, or you might love action figures, but you might really love, arts and crafts, or maybe you are obsessed with Legos and building sets. So there's so many different categories that you can work in. And within the toy companies, some of them make lots of different things. That's called a multi-brand company, while others might make a certain product category and be really good at that. They might be a puzzle company, or they might make just stuffed animals. So this is just showing you, how big those categories are, and all of the categories except for two of them really grew in 2023. And we're seeing, we had a small decline in the US toy industry in 2023, but it was still, despite having an 8% decline, it was still $5.7 billion above what the toy sales were in 2019. So if you think about that for a minute, even with the, smartphones and tablets and devices and video games and so many other things that people, young people especially, are using to satisfy their time, toys still continue to dominate and grow essentially year over year. Part of the reason I think that we saw a decline in 2023 is because in 2021 and 2020, even 2020, 2021, 2022, people were still really in the pandemic, and they were spending a lot more time at home, and they were buying lots and lots of toys. But as you can see, compared to years ago, it's still up. The toy sales are still up, and this is going to, continue to grow. This is a different data point that shows that the sales might be as high as 152 billion versus 132 billion. So there's lots of different sort of governing bodies that think about the research. So market research is another area that maybe you're good at, data and analytics, or interested in market research, and could do that for companies like some of these third party data analytic companies like NPD and Circana rather, sorry. Or you could do that even internally at a toy company, because companies, while they might think about, oh, should we go into this particular product or category, they're going to be looking at things like, who are the competitors in the space? What are the sales for these types of similar products? And they're looking at the data by product category, by type of retailer that the products are sold in many different ways. And there are 1,000 toy companies in North America. So 1,000 members of the Toy Association, which is the industry's largest trade association. And there are over 300 toy makers in Southern California alone. So I find that very exciting. I know a lot of people who might be listening to this are based in Southern California, and there's also many other toy hubs as well. So there are toy hubs in New York, in Rhode Island, in Washington, D.C., in South Florida. There's a very big toy hub. Certainly Canada, there are many toy companies. that are based there, but toy and entertainment companies, manufacturers, agents, and agencies, over 300 of them right here in Southern California, because the port of Los Angeles is here, and toys that are made in China are coming into Los Angeles. And we have a very creative economy, as this group certainly knows. And yeah, so there's so many opportunities, and I just thought I would share with you some of the biggest toy companies. And these are, collectively between these and these, the top 15 toy companies in the world. And I think most of them have at least an office here in Southern California. And most of them have now foundations. And so, tying back to the social impact piece, I love that all of these companies are giving back. And here's just a snapshot of some of them. There's also something called trade associations. So let's say you want to work in we're talking about working in the toy industry. You don't actually have to just get a job at a toy company to work in the toy industry. You might work on, at an advertising agency, or you might work on the brand side at an entertainment studio, or you might, if there are things like the SpongeBob Hotel, maybe your people are designing experiences, or pop-up experiences. And likewise, there are different trade organizations, and there's lots of ways to get involved and have an impact in the toy industry if you work for any of these different trade organizations. And also for you all, many of them have resources for students. So, for example, Licensing International has a scholarship. They give away $10,000, $2,500 and $10,000 scholarships for students who might be interested in working in the licensing industry. For example, last year, the question for the scholarship was, what do you think the biggest licensing story of the year was? If you guys have any ideas for what the biggest licensing story of last year might be in the toy industry, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I would love to hear what you guys think about that. Some of my students at Maryland wrote about different trends in the for that scholarship, and some thought maybe the Barbie movie, others thought Minecraft. Curious what you think. So I mentioned about trends. Trends are things that are going on, and they have a really huge impact on toys that companies are making. And again, the people in the jobs, are the ones that are really thinking about and putting these trends into action. I have lots of different hairstyles in all my different pictures too. Sometimes it's long or short or blonde or dark. So let's see. Yeah, so these are some of the different trends that, are on my mind about, technology infused play. How did the pandemic impact the toy industry? Um, Toy unboxings. Have you guys seen what's called blind packaging in the toy industry, where you buy something and you don't know what's inside? And so it's like a surprise. And then a lot of people are sharing that on social media. So there are people who work in marketing, who work in advertising and social media, the PR people, the packaging innovators. So many different people have to work together collaboratively within companies to incorporate these different trends. So yeah, blind bags are really cool. Just looking at some of the things that you guys are saying in the chat. So I can go back, Jackie, afterwards and look at what that figure was on the puzzles, and let you know that. So wanted to show you guys, we talked a little bit about some of the super categories in the toy industry, and how some companies are multi-brand companies, other companies might make one or another thing, and around social impact. So here I'm just showing you guys some examples of companies that are making an impact with the products that they're creating. Like Wonder Crew, this item here was created by a mother who wanted to have a boy doll so that to teach her son empathy, and that it was okay to be nurturing and loving. Companies are showing that, breaking down stereotypes around gender, around race, around sexuality, um, breaking down generational poverty. Like this company, Brown Toy Box, really wanted to show young children of color that they should, can have really exciting careers in STEM and science and engineering and math. Showing graphics of children with all different abilities. So I think, this is something that's really exciting to me, is that we can really make impacts in many different ways. And just showing some other, trends here that are going on in the toy industry that have been driving popularity, collectability, adulting. I mentioned adults who are playing games more and more, really creating things like family time together. There was an interesting article that my company got this product, Five Surprise Mini Brands, into. I don't know if you know that product line of little mini food. Well, the New York Times wrote an article during the pandemic that showed that products like this are gaining in popularity amongst adults because they weren't able to go food shopping and they missed that experience of wandering the food aisles. So um, they were looking to things like little mini collectibles that they can share online to connect with people over the shopping experience. So like really interesting ways that if you think about during the pandemic, I had actually predicted that hugging toys might become really popular because I was seeing on social media that people were saying things to each other like, "Oh, I miss hugging you," or sending you hugs, or hugs from afar. And indeed, actually last year several different products came out that incorporated hugging, like Hugimals, which also had another feature in it of being weighted, like heavy. And weighted products like weighted blankets are really soothing. And so coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people were also in a mental health crisis. And so we're seeing lots of toys like sensory tactile toys or weighted toys that offer people ways to, self-soothe, like fidgets. And that category is really exploding. So as we think about trends and how we can, whether we're inventing or coming up with ideas of products, or whether we're just thinking about ways to promote them that will really resonate and connect with consumers, um, keeping trends in mind is a really powerful way to do that. And some other things that, were contributing to trends, like I just mentioned, fidgets, diversity and inclusive toys, hip hop with hip hop's 50th. I'm involved with the Universal Hip Hop Museum that is being built in New York City right now. And last August, hip hop celebrated 50 years since its inception. And, about 4 years ago, I was predicting that this past year would be a really big we were going to see hip hop toys. And indeed we were. I mean, everyone from Fisher Price to lots of other ones. So okay. So do you think you might want to make the toys? There's so many, like I've been trying to explain, there's so many different roles that people can play that you don't have to be the one to make the toys, but let's see. Could that be right for you?
World.
Hey, Ming Ming. I'm gonna be a little bit short on today's quota.
It's all right, buddy. Just how many Etch-a-Sketches did you get finished? Come on, buddy, how many?
I made, 85.
85? That puts you 915 off the pace.
Why don't you just say it? I'm the worst toy maker in the world. I'm a cotton-headed ninny.
Well, the good news is that not everyone has to make the choice because not everyone's going to be good at all the same things, right? So, again, we're going to go back to the beginning, what we started with. What do you love? Like maybe you really love fashion. Um, Maybe you love sports, right? Maybe you love karaoke like me. So, I love karaoke, but I didn't have any ideas to create a karaoke machine. But guess what? I got to promote it and I got to come up with ways for them to connect through social impact. I created a social impact division for them called Karaoke, Care, Karaoke. And I'm donating product and helping them to use karaoke for social impact. Maybe you're interested in any of these other different things that I list here: creative writing, gardening, and then what are you good at? So, for me, I was a, pretty good writer. I got better the more I did it, and I'm very comfortable talking with people. It's interesting. One of my students at Maryland this year, she worked at medieval times, and she was telling me that she was, they call it a bar wench, basically a bartender there. And she was saying that she's really good at that job because they use all these um, words from medieval times that are really on brand. And she was like, thinking of it like, well, that's just what I do on the side. And then as we talked about what she might be interested in doing in the toy industry, um, I was realizing that she's really good at selling a brand. Maybe she'd be great in sales. And a salesperson is on the front line of a company. They need to understand how things work, how toys represent the brand, and be able to really sell it to retailers. She also had worked in the military and was stationed in Korea. And she felt like both the medieval times and the military were not relevant to a job working in the toy industry. Well, I said to her, "Well, did you like working in Korea?" She said, "I would die to go back to Korea." So I said, "Well, what if you did international sales for a toy company where you were helping that toy company because you're fluent in Korean? So you have this amazing, really special skill that you know how to speak Korean." Now, most of us don't know how to speak Korean, but what I want you to do is really think about, what are you good at? Are there any like really interesting niche things that could help you put it together with, what do you love? What are you good at? And then there's probably a job doing that in the toy industry. So maybe you love, cooking, and maybe you're really good at product development, or 3D sculpting. I think, let's see, some of you said you really like anime. Oh, the toy I want to create is a toy for pets. That's awesome. The pet industry, Gracie, is a huge segment, and in fact, many different toy companies like Jazzwares just launched a whole pet division called Jazzwares Pets. Jax Pacific also has a division called Jax Pets. The toy, people view their pets just like their children, and they really want to have consumer products for them. I don't have the number on the tip of my tongue of how big that business is anymore, but um, there are many, many jobs doing either product development or creative development, or maybe you're not creative in that way, but maybe you love pets and you love pet toys and you want to be an assistant at a toy company or a project manager, or do public relations. So let's see. I'm an illustrator. I want to create a toy since I work in the toy animation industry. After the toy is created, I want to expand into the animation in the future. I've started wondering, how should I start? Well, so there's lots of programs that in colleges where you can study these types of things. So Otis School of Art and Design is one of them. My friend Jennifer Caveza is actually the chair of the toy design program, but I believe they have animation classes there. They have a toy design program there. I'm working with the University of Maryland, as I mentioned, and they have aligned with the Toy Association, and there's actually going to be a whole new major dedicated to the toy industry. And I'm going to be teaching multiple classes there about media and the toy industry and about careers in the toy industry. So you're welcome to get in touch with me if you have any questions about that. So, yeah, there are so many different skills and roles needed to develop toys. It's great. Are there any good entry level roles for getting into the toy industry? So many, Sophie. I just mentored somebody um, last week who said she was looking for an entry level role in the toy industry. And then I came across like 10 of them in the past week, and I keep sending them to her. You could be a coordinator you could be in product development or in licensing or in research or in a public relations department. So you can get in the mailroom and really learn more about operations. When I worked at this toy company, Jack Specific, there were about 5 people that I know that started in the mailroom, and now they're literally at the vice president level in marketing and product development and operations at really exciting big toy companies. Like one is called MGA, they make Bratz and LOL. Um, and they're just killing it. And they started at the beginning. They made themselves just, open to anything. And now they have been growing through the organization. Say yes as much as you possibly can. Um, the next couple of slides, I just want to show you some examples of cool companies who are making an impact. So and I just love this so much. These were Target, Spirit, Disney, and Paramount making adaptive Halloween costumes. So again, this is going to be people who are suggesting that, you know what, we make amazing Halloween costumes, but if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to be able to get them. And this is going to be really exclusive for people who might have a physical disability. There's also, I'm sure you guys know, but there's physical disabilities and mental disabilities. There's visible and invisible. And so some people might be, on the autism spectrum and they might have sensory issues. And so there's a lot of companies who are making more inclusive costumes and toys for students who might have different needs. And it really takes a village of people working together to bring a product like this. Imagine you're um, someone who works at Disney and on the product team, and you decide that you want to do this. Well, you're not, or maybe you're at the costume company, you're not going to be able to just get it done by yourself. You have to collaborate, you have to articulate why there's a need, and then you have to form radical collaborations with your partners. So, something like this takes Target saying like, yes, we agree with you. We want to create impact together. And then it really can expand and sort of help a greater number of people in need. I love this Lego and Braille bricks. So, again, I'm showing you some different products here, but I just want to challenge you to think about how it's like the people behind the products who really, are working together to develop them, to promote them, to be inclusive in the advertising of the way that they're, to be authentic in the way that they're promoting these different products, and to also be understanding trends where, another cool concept is there are advancements in manufacturing today. So there are people who work on that side of things, the engineering, the manufacturing piece, that allow companies to make smaller production runs on some of these products that make it cost effective for them to create a line like this. Like obviously, I'm sure you can imagine that they wouldn't sell as many of these Braille bricks as they would a regular set of theirs. But if they can really be an ally to blind people and sell these bricks, it's going to be great for their business and just better for humanity. And then also, it's really important. Representation is really important. And children need to see products that represent them and their challenges, whether it's, showing multicultural and diverse dolls that, this page happens to have some disabilities on them. But, even if they don't, it's really important to have products that represent marginalized communities. And so I love these examples of some of those products. And then it takes people to innovate. I mean, I loved this so much. This is, not exactly a toy, but this is a really cool helmet that integrates technology that allows deaf football players to see the plays that their coaches are telling them right in their helmets. And so one of the things that's looking in the toy industry is if we, how can we incorporate technology that will really help people? And then this are, Barbie, and so many companies are really taking an industry, leadership role in just creating an amazing product that represents, other underserved communities or people with disabilities or things like that. So, and I mentioned just a little bit that the toy industry is everywhere. You can get a job that's really fun that touches on the toy industry, and maybe it's not even working for a toy company. So there are trade shows, there are media events, there are experiential pop-ups. So maybe you want to work for work on a Broadway show around SpongeBob, or maybe you get to work on the Barbie movie, or maybe you don't work on the Barbie movie or the Barbie toy line, but you work for Airbnb and you want to help make a Barbie dream house pop-up experience. So maybe you create a promotion with that company. So these are some of the different ways that people can work in the toy industry. And let's see, I don't live in the United States. Do you have any advice for international creators? I don't think there are any toy careers here in South America. There is a robust toy market in South America. There's a group called Women in Toys Licensing and Entertainment, and it's a global organization that I'm part of. And we have chapters um, all over the world. I can look and see if there are any in South America. But I'm certain that there are toy industry people from South America. So if you write me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to connect you. Has there been a specific product or toy you've worked on that has been really memorable for me? Yes, Camille. So many. I've been very lucky. I've worked with some of the most incredible brands in the whole world, and actually things that I really loved as a kid. So I got to represent the Care Bears and Cabbage Patch Kids. I got to meet the creator of Cabbage Patch Kids, Xavier Roberts. Um, One of my favorite movies was Ghostbusters. I got to work with Sony on the new Ghostbusters movie. And it's been such a joy actually having some of our own toys that we have worked to create the innovations for at GenCom be made by other toy companies. So actually, I think I'm almost at that in my presentation and I'll stop my share, but I want you to think about how you can change the whole entire world through your work and play, and lead with intention and have a vision for even whatever you do, how you can create impact with your role. And I don't know if I even mentioned, but even if you're interested in psychology or mental health or lots of different things, if you're a teacher, there are so many teaching toys, and there are ways that you can utilize those transferable skills within the toy industry. So whatever you do, whatever you love, you can find a great job in the toy industry. And I think it's like a yellow brick road. You can go for gold and find something, really incredible for your livelihood. So I'm going to just leave this here for a quick second. You're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn and send me any questions that you may have. And then go ahead and stop my share, and then I'm happy to take any questions that you guys may have. Let me see if I can unmute you guys. Okay. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So let's see, did I get to the ones from here? Let's see. Okay, for artists interested, I would say that if you were going for a creative job, they would definitely look at your portfolio. So if you have any portfolios, that would be great. Um, oh, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Thanks, Janelle. And yeah, if anybody wants to unmute and ask me any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Um, John Carlos says, if you want to be an entrepreneur in the toy industry, how would you pitch or present your product ideas? Um, there's lots of different ways that you could do that. And a couple of examples are there are some big trade shows. Like one is called the Toy Fair that happens in New York. And they have a launch pad and they have some different events where entrepreneurs can come and they can meet with different toy makers. Another one of those events is through Women in Toys called Empowerment Day. So Empowerment Day is actually coming up in June, and this year it's going to be in Las Vegas at the licensing show. And it's a day um, where women entrepreneurs can come and present their inventions and meet with different toy companies. And so if you look up women in toys and empowerment day, then you can see how to get involved in that and pitch some of your ideas, and also the same at Toy Fair. And then other times companies have um, sections on their website where you can go and you can find out how you can pitch an idea to them. So let's see. Any advice for pitching a new product from Nina? Well, sure. I would say, do research on the category, on the product, create a presentation about it. And, you might want to think about something like the who, what, where, when, why, and how of how to promote, or about your new product. So, what is it? Why do people need it? Think about what aisle would it live in a store? So, this is a really big one. If you were walking through, let's say you'd want to sell it at Target. Where would you see it at Target? What aisle would it live in? Because that's going to be really important um, for figuring out which buyer is going to buy that product. So let's see. Can we go back to the slide that had the impact of different categories and puzzles? Okay, let me see, Jackie, if I can find that slide really quick. On. Let's see, I'll share my screen. I think this was it. Okay, so hopefully this helps. Going back to the chat, let's see. What career platform do you suggest to get a job in the toy industry? From Mallory. Hi, Mallory. Well, Women in Toys offers free memberships, Women in Toys licensing and entertainment for students. And I think it's somewhere between 100 and $120 if you're not a student. And they have a job board. So that could be a great place to look for jobs. And I also am pretty active on LinkedIn. And there are, oh, another thing is I meant to mention there are trade magazines. Trade magazines are so fun. You guys might want to look at trade magazines. Some of them include ones like The Toy Book. So if you go to, I think it's like thetoybook.com or Pop Insider, or another one is called License Global. Another one is called like the letters A-N, like Nancy, A-N-B Media, A-N-B Media. They have free email blasts, and they also have free like online magazines that are all about the toy industry. And I really recommend, if you want to learn more about the different toy companies, the different categories, the different brands that are doing well, and they often also do share jobs in the toy industry. That's a really great place to just get information. And I get emails every single day from the toy trades, and they're announcing deals that the companies are making. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen here if I can. Okay. So, okay, let's see if I have more questions. And if anybody wants to unmute and ask me a question live, I'm trying to get through some of these in the chat. I'm curious to learn more about research that goes into designing diverse toys. Um, I work with a lot of different amazing creators who are very committed to designing diverse toys. I've worked with Dr. Lisa Williams at the Dr. Lisa Company, and I mentioned Brown Toy Box. There's some incredible companies like Afro Unicorn that was created by April Showers, and is just on fire. And I think, whether you're talking about Black-owned companies or other races, or, showcasing with different disabilities, it's very important to have authenticity. And I think a lot of companies are very committed to making sure that the people who are creating the product lines represent the groups that they want to, authentically represent in the products. So there's a lot of market research available, I think. I actually have a class that I taught at Maryland last year that I have a recording of that I'd be happy to share, where we had some speakers talk about that and the importance of it, but also Dr. Lisa Williams has done a lot of talking about that. And if you research her, you can see a little bit more about that. But I think that that's something that, a lot of the toy companies are realizing, that representation really matters, and they want to have more diverse products that represent the complexion of the people who are buying them. So it's very important for young children to have toys that reflect them. So let's see. Um, Oh, thank you for Rachel for sharing the link to Empowerment Day. This is a wonderful event. Whether you have invented a product and you're ready for prime time to present it to a toy company, they have Walmart is there, and there's about 10 toy companies. So you can set up appointments to meet with the different toy companies and present your item there. Or if you don't feel like you're ready for that, it's a full day of speakers who are giving advice to entrepreneurs, and there's several different events like that. There's also going to be, if you want to link to me on LinkedIn, there's going to be a University of Maryland Terps in Toyland event in the coming months that I'm going to be promoting. If anyone on this call is on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, there's a really cool event that's coming up on April 5th at the Skirball Cultural Center. And it's the world's first, and it's called the inaugural Autism in Entertainment Conference. So if you might be on the spectrum and you might be interested in getting a job in the entertainment industry, there are going to be about 200 to 300 young people on the spectrum, and they're hoping to have about 150 or more executives who work in the entertainment industry who have the potential to hire people and just to learn more about working in different roles within the entertainment industry. I personally think that the toy industry is part of the entertainment industry too. Like you saw, it's all about creating consumer products for entertainment brands. And if you're interested in the entertainment industry, I think the toy industry is a great way to sort of get that fix. But I hope that what you leave with today is also that, whatever you do, whether you work in the toy industry or any other industry, I just really want to encourage people to think about what do you love and what are you good at? And you can find a job doing that in any field. Because if you love what you do, then your job becomes your vocation and it becomes a joy to go to work every day. And that might sound a little grandiose, but I really truly believe that. And so I hope that you guys can take that to heart. Okay, someone's asking for me to share my contact information again, so let me do that. And if anyone wants to unmute and say hi or sing anything, you're welcome to. I'm just flipping to the end of my presentation. Okay, I'll try to just see if there's any other questions in the chat. Oh, good, Isabel. I'm glad you learned some new things today. How exciting. Um, oh, people cannot unmute. Okay, hold on. I thought I changed those settings. Sorry about that. Thank you, Willow, for letting me know. Um, let's see. I don't know. I don't know where the thing is, but I apologize. Wait, let's see if I can get that back. Am I sharing my screen? No, I'm having technical difficulties. Stop share. Um, right. Oh, too little, too late, but hopefully now any of you can unmute yourselves. Sorry about that. Well, thank you all so much for attending. I really appreciate you all, and I hope you enjoyed it. And anyone's welcome to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I just wish you all so much luck in your exciting careers. I can't wait to hear all the amazing things that you're doing. So good luck, go get them, and have
Thank
an
you.
amazing day.
Thank you so much. It was such a beautiful, well done presentation. Very, very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna head out to the next one.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a great day.